Here it comes. Guys, you know what to do. You need to drop in the comments. You need to tell me where you are, what are you drinking, and if you're a first timer, throw 3 stars up so we can shout you out. Tiffany, it is indeed the best time of the day. It's happy hour, guys. We are in week 7, and we are getting close to the weekend, and it's time to put something in your glass, log on with us, and connect. What is up, Leah? Early in the room. Lee, cheers from Dallas. Sarah in San Antonio, drinking an old-fashioned. We love it, guys. You don't have to drink wine at happy hour. You can drink whatever you want. Bill, good to see you. And Monica in Lake Jackson, also with a 16 Merlot. Different vineyard than I'm drinking today, but same vintage, same grape. I love it. Lee says it's a beer school day. I could get down with that. Kind of excited to talk tomorrow with Jessica Sanders, who is herself likely not going to talk about wine. So, but today it's wine school day. It's definitely wine nerd day. We have my friend Daniela in the house, and we are going to nerd out hard on some, not Cab, Syrah. And we're going to talk about the controversial topic of Cab being so out and Syrah being so in. Woo! All right, party people. And I love it. Sarah's like, yes, Cab is so out already. It's already getting controversial in the comments, guys, and we haven't even kicked off happy hour. Guys, put your hands up. I love it. Catherine was dancing off screen. I didn't see her, but she was also dancing. I love it. Guys, Elisa, you drinking pig pool without me? That's unbelievable. That's unacceptable. Brian in Northwest Austin drinking some Sauv Blanc. I love it. Jerry Lynn and Fred drinking some Wanderer. Sam says Mary is still drinking margaritas. What is up, Poe? Good to see you on here. All right, guys. I think it's about that time for us to shut down Miley. Alexa off. As much as I love Miley Cyrus Party in the USA, there's only so much I can take. Guys, as we're getting things kicked off and welcoming our special guest today, feel free to drop it in the comments. We still want to know where you are and what you're drinking if you haven't let us know. First timers, we need 3 stars so we can shout you out. Put 3 little asterisks. But let us take some time to welcome our special guest. We are going to welcome a few members of our William Chris team. First up, since you already saw her, we're going to go to Catherine Brundrett, the one, the only. Hi, Catherine. How are you?
Hey, Dee. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on again.
Always. It looks like you're in quite an interior place. Where are you right now, and what are you drinking?
I'm at home, and I'm drinking a Paloma. Your guest on Monday was drinking one, and I was like, I need one of those. So I had one Tuesday, and it wasn't enough, so I'm having another one.
Paloma sounds so good. And you were telling us before the show got started, you even fresh squeezed your grapefruit juice, didn't you?
Yeah, Chris made them for me on Tuesday, and he did all the work. And so today he's not home yet, so I did it all myself, and it took way longer than I thought. But
well, cheers to your happy hour. That sounds delicious.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you shortly again. Next up, we have the one, the only Lisa Flick. Coming straight to us from the high estate. Lisa, hi, how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Good. Is it true that what I see in the background is the high estate? Is that where you are?
That is where I am. The vineyard is behind me. I am absolutely here.
I love it. It looks beautiful. And what are you drinking today?
Well, I would be drinking a Paloma, but Catherine didn't bring me one. So instead, I have High Cross Syrah.
Well, that is in quite the theme for today's episode. So cheers to you. Happy hour, friend.
I planned it that way.
I love it. For those of you, excuse me, I'm choking on my wine. For those of you who don't know Lisa is a longtime member of our tasting room, has taught me a bunch about how William Chris runs, about our wines. She is extremely knowledgeable and very, very lucky to have her on our team. So it's always good to see our tasting room team's faces since we are not together right now. And we wanted to bring that to our fans so you guys could see the friendly faces that you're not getting to see right now. So Lisa, say hi to all the fans and all of our wine club members.
Hi guys, I miss y'all.
We miss you too, Lisa. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you in just a little bit. And last and certainly not least, we have a very special guest today joining us. No, it is not a wine bottle named Weinelson that you got to meet yesterday. Yes, it is a real human, my friend Daniela. Welcome to the show, Daniela. How are you?
Hey, good. How are you, Dee? I miss
Good.
you. I miss seeing your face in person.
I know. I haven't seen you in forever. It is so good to see your face. Where are you today, and what are you drinking?
I am at home as per usual, and I should be drinking Syrah, but I drink it all. So I'm drinking gin and soda out of a wine glass.
Hey, that's the spirit of happy hour. We don't care what you're drinking. That is kind of funny that you've already drank all your Syrah. One does not surprise me. But gin and soda, that sounds good. What kind of gin?
Barrickston. It's Norwegian.
Ooh,
Awesome.
That's a new one to me. I love it. You probably, with your most recent gig at Westwood, probably have a pretty extensive knowledge of the spirits these days.
Yes, that is definitely one thing I learned at a liquor store, which was just where to find the best gin. So you can find it at Westwood's, by the way. Just wanna let you know.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We'll get in a little bit deeper about you and your background and all the things Syrah and Cab related. But cheers, friend. Happy hour.
Cheers.
All right, party people. Let's add a few more folks, and then let's talk about what I'm drinking today. Who else is with us? Alta, NFL schedule day. Cheers from Frisco. I didn't even know that. Alta, who's your team? We need to know. If you're in Frisco, I think I have a pretty good idea. Drinking 16 Bolin Malbec. Who else is in here? I'm glad, Savannah, that you appreciate my music choice. Kate, hydrating for later in Pflugerville. Okay, got some planning ahead. Doing a little water now, little other things later. And good to see you here, Asha and Eric. Still working, but on happy hour nonetheless. I'm glad you guys can join us. What is up, Anthony and Luke and all kinds of other folks up in the joint. Mary is drinking some Tavel Rosé. No problem. Okay, Brian, a Vikings fan and Alta, a Packers fan. I feel like you guys are going to have some issues in the comments with each other. Okay, guys, let's talk about what I am drinking today. I am very excited to share this with you guys. So this is Merlot. Merlot. And it is from Robert Clay Vineyards in the Texas Hill Country. And it is from the 2016 vintage. Okay, party people. That means this is almost 4 years old. Let's talk about aroma, flavor, body, acid, all that kind of fun stuff that we've been getting into. With Merlot, we would expect some probably cherry and plum notes. So a little bit of red fruit, a little bit of black fruit. Let's see if we get that here. Yeah, I would even say a little herbaceous, a little bit of dried herbs. Maybe the beginnings with age. Merlot has a tendency to show a little bit of chocolate. It's not quite there. This is still pretty fruit driven. Cheers, guys. Yep. It is confirmed on the palate, guys. We have a pretty tart cherry profile, dried herbs, plum, and a little bit of raspberry. This is definitely a little tart. Good acidity, very low tannin. I would say medium minus or low even on the tannin. So very fruit forward, easy to drink, not highly tannic wine. A little bit of burn in the chest. That makes me think elevated alcohol. Indeed, this is 15.1% alcohol. Nice little chest burn. Also gives it a really nice weight in the mouth, though. Higher alcohol, higher viscosity, little more body. I dig it. This is a wine of pleasure right now. Not a cerebral wine, though you could think about it. You really just want to drink it. This saw about 30% new oak. I think that's where some of that spice is coming from. But it's not over the top, guys. When I taste and smell this, I don't think wood. I don't think oak. I think fruit. Still very expressive on the fruit side. Guys, I am straight up going to recommend what I am craving right now. And maybe because I'm craving it, but also because I think this would be a great pairing. Pizza. Merlot and pizza, match made in heaven. Don't think too much about it. This would be a great pizza wine. I'm also going to go down the rack of lamb world. That's a pretty traditional pairing. I could also see this with some beef fajitas on the grill. So let's get that skirt steak on the charcoal grill. Yes, on the charcoal grill, because I'm a charcoal grill fan. Get those beef fajitas out there and pour some of this Merlot. Gonna be delicious. But again, this wine is, because it's so fruit driven and pleasurable, you don't have to think too much about it. Get a good slab of meat or some pizza. It's going to have some nice grease and fat in that you're going to pair with this wine. Salt, going to taste so good with this fruit. So get after the pizza, get after the beef fajitas. If you really want to get into it, rack a lamb. That's where I'm headed with this. So good to see some new folks in there. Terry's drinking some Texas Roussan and Haze. And yes, Lisa, Robert Clay Merlot is smooth. That very smooth tannin, not a lot of intense kind of scratchy note. Cheers again, guys. Oh my gosh. I'm hungry too, Poe. Did you know Bufalina in Austin is reopened for not delivery, sorry, for pickup. And I cannot wait to go get some Bufalina pizza. Telling you what, that might happen tonight. Okay, guys, it is time for the wine nerd section today. I have my great friend Daniela, who I'm going to pull back up on screen. Danielle, I'm coming for you. I always tell my guests, in case they're off camera and happen to be like picking their nose or doing something, you know, for whatever reason, like happen to be changing t-shirts or something, you know, I got to give you that little heads up that my camera is going back live. You're going to be in front of people. So here you are again. Before I let you loose on all the things, I want to give you a more, let's say, elevated or proper introduction. But first, I'm going to throw this up on the screen so everybody can post their questions for you. Guys, Daniela D'Souza has her WSET diploma in wine. Guys, that is the precursor to the Master of Wine certification. So I currently have my WSET level 3 and am studying towards the diploma that she already has. So she knows her shit. Excuse me. She knows her stuff really well in wine. We have studied together. We have been blind tasting partners together. I have had a ton of fun both drinking wine and studying wine with Daniela. I'm very thankful to call her a friend and a colleague and somebody that I can learn from. She is also an instructor. She teaches WSET classes, among many other fun consumer-facing classes. And today, I have invited her to preach about Syrah, the gospel of Syrah, because if anybody is qualified and motivated to preach that gospel of Syrah, it is Daniela D'Souza. And so she is here today to tell you why Cab is so out and Syrah is so in. And I'm sure those of you who are watching have some kind of opinion about that. So please feel free to bring it in the comments today, questions, comments, etc. But before we get to that, Daniela, tell us first, where are you originally from and how did your wine journey get started?
Good question. Hi, thank you so much for having me again. So I was a military brat. I was born in New Mexico, but my family and I moved every 2 to 3 years. So I'm basically from all over the country, never really established roots until my family moved here to Texas. And we actually moved about an hour north of here. And that's how the wine journey began. Actually, we started the vineyard at Florence in Florence, Texas. And that was my summer job. I planted grapes as a kid, hated every moment of it and swore off the wine world. I said I'd never go into it. But after college, I came back, started working from the winery and fell in love, and the rest is history.
So really your journey began as like a child, like baby, like planting, I mean, like, well, not baby, maybe like planting grapes in the vineyard as a kid.
Yeah, I was 15. I was a really surly, angry teenager. And so
You're the only one.
Oh, yeah, no, I was the only one. And I was up to my knees in fire ants and mud one day because it was like the wettest summer on record in Texas the year we planted. And I just remember throwing down my shovel and being like, I cannot believe, number one, that I had to move again, but number two, that this is what my parents are having me do. So I don't know. it's funny to see how much you progress.
Yeah, no kidding. I am thankful to no longer be my teenage self. I was an idiot. Okay, so you have extensive roots. All that to say, extensive roots. I'm not going to go there. Trying to make all the dad puns. In the Texas wine industry, you've been here for a while. You've been around it for a long time, and you have some controversial opinions. So I am going to give you the mic, and this is your chance to preach the gospel of Syrah to the people. So preach the gospel of Syrah to us, kick us off, tell us why you love Syrah and why Cab is so out and Syrah is so in.
Okay. Can I answer a few comments really quickly?
Sure. So like this one came up real quick. Was it an Air Force family of yours?
Quick answer. Yes, it was.
Okay.
And then the name of the winery in Florence, Lee, was the Vineyard at Florence. So very straightforward. The one and only. There's only one Florence and there's only one winery there, I assure you. Anyway, yes, I'm probably what I'm about to say might piss people off, and that's okay. Feel free to disagree with me, but I'm just going to say what I have to say. After working in retail for the past year, a lot of people came in and they asked for Cabernet. That's just what people always ask for. They want something rich. They want something full-bodied. And I fully acknowledge that. I think that's a valid thing to ask for. I just think that they were overpaying for what they were really asking for. And that kind of leads me into Syrah. Syrah is very, very similar to Cabernet Sauvignon. It has lots of dark fruit, lots of richness, lots of tannin. It's extremely age-worthy. Like really good Syrah, you can lay down for several years, probably as long as Cab, arguably. It has all of the elements needed in order to make it a quality, long-lasting wine, and it still has that black fruit that you're really looking for in a Cabernet. So I think that's the first argument I would make. The second one is that it's so inexpensive compared to Cabernet Sauvignon. If you think about coming in and asking for a Napa Cab, let's just say Napa Cab in general and pinpoint that region, or you could even argue it for Bordeaux. The acreage in Napa is freaking expensive now. Everything's going for like $500,000 plus an acre, which means that a lot of people can't sell their Cab in Napa especially, or in other popular California regions for less than $100. Like a lot of people go in and it's like 60, 50, 60 plus. And they're like, well, that's the pinnacle of quality. Like I must have this. And I just think that you're looking for something really rich and bold, but you could find that for like half of or a quarter of the price. I would say like really good Syrah, aka Shiraz, starts at, I don't know, $18-20 and goes up a little bit from there. I mean, it'll go up higher if you want it to, but you could find probably similar quality Shirazes or Syrahs at the same price as maybe a Bordeaux or California Cabernet.
So what you're saying here is if I essentially am looking for the same pleasure, because really that's what we're talking about, right? All these components we're talking about are things that bring people joy and pleasure, gustatory pleasure, and you want the same experience for maybe a fraction of the cost, depending on who we're talking about and where we're talking about, then Syrah is your alternative.
Absolutely, 100%. And I think it's just as parable, it's just as versatile. It's actually just as accessible. You can go into any store and find it. So it's not some obscure thing that I'm trying to preach here. Like you can definitely find it. I just think that the consumer perception of what this grape is not so good.
So let's talk about that. So true story. I did not make this up just for today's episode. This is actually part of like my wine journey. We'll even call it my wine journey. It started before I even thought about it, because you and I talked about kind of what content you want to talk about today, and you brought up Yellowtail. And I didn't realize this, but like both Franzia White Zin, that my mom, like for sure we had that box in our fridge on the top shelf growing up. So like was there, slap the bag, the whole 9 yards, you know, when I was a kid. Second, my parents like made me believe that we were like moving up in the wine world when we started bringing in Yellowtail on the regular, and it was Shiraz. And it would sit on our kitchen counter, which, by the way, guys, not the best place to store your wine. Hottest room in the house. Please don't do that. So, storing Shiraz on the kitchen counter and like pouring it like it was a high-end wine. And I'm not here to knock like entry-level wine. Entry-level wine is a part of most people's wine journey, an important step for us all to take. But nonetheless, I think this grape and its association with Yellowtail maybe left a bad taste in folks' mouth, both literally and figuratively. Talk about that.
Yeah, I think Australia massively screwed up in the. I'm going to say this very delicately. I think what happened was they hung their hat on Shiraz. It's called Shiraz for those who don't know in Australia. It's the same grape. So Australia went, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tout Shiraz as our, country's favorite red grape, whatever, our signature red grape. But I am pushing out gallons and gallons of really mediocre Shiraz on a few brands. We'll call them like critter brands. And then on the other side, you're trying to popularize Shiraz at a premium price point. So $20, $30 plus a bottle. And so people were really confused. Like, I think the biggest thing about somebody picking a bottle off the shelf is they want consistency and they want to know what they're getting. And so they're like, well, I'm really confused. Why would I buy something that goes for $7 a 1.5 liter? Why would I go for a $35 Shiraz when I know that I've had another Shiraz that sucked, essentially, right? And so I think that was really confusing, and it's still something that people have to deal with. There's a really dirty joke that, well, I'm not going to tell it right now, but
once you bring that up, my fans in the comments are going to be like, oh, she has to tell it now.
Okay. I'll make it a little bit more general for you. So, okay. So there's a saying in the wine world. What's the difference between Syrah and a venereal disease?
Okay, I got to know because I've never heard this.
You can get rid of the venereal disease. So like people would be sitting on gallons of Syrah, even really good stuff, and they couldn't sell it because people were just like, no, I don't trust it. Yeah. I try to make that more PG. I don't know whether I succeeded. But.
Well, I'm sure people's minds are going crazy right now. We'll let them fill in a little bit of the blanks there. So before we talk about major regions, there's some also good questions here that I want to get to. Oh my gosh, there's so information to talk about here. Talk to me about like one of my big hangups with Syrah early on, and maybe even still today, if I'm honest, is I feel like a lot of times there's this really herbaceous, like green note in some Syrahs. Like, where does that come from? Why does that show up? Is there a way to get around that? Or is that just like what we should be loving about it?
Are you talking about like an underripe note? Or are you talking about like Garrigue, like something?
Definitely the underripe aspect.
Yeah, I think if you're talking about a bulk thing, Shiraz is really hard to ripen. It's just really difficult. So you can't just be bulk planting it and expecting everything to work out. You really have to be very careful with your site selection. I think the same thing could be said of Merlot. I mean, you even mentioned that Merlot has a green note in the tasting that you're drinking today. Yeah. And Merlot, like if you really, it's not saying that it's underripe. It has higher compound called pyrazine that sometimes is harder to ripen out. So the same thing might apply to Shiraz if you're bulk, if you're creating bulk wine out of the grape that has been selected from a vineyard that has poor site selection, then you might get that a little bit more. But if you're planting it really nicely, like that green note will kind of fade into like purple flower and something really lovely like lavender or dried herbs rather than that overt green. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I love that. And I'm glad you talked about like, it really does sometimes have a problem getting ripe enough. And that's something that, Northern Rhone producers, and I'm kind of getting ahead of ourselves here, but like they have to be careful with, because it can get pretty cool up on those slopes. And so they have to pay attention to aspect and, getting more sunlight and making sure they get ripe enough. So I kind of led into this. Talk to me if I want to go find good Syrah or Shiraz. Talk to me about some major regions I should be looking for.
Okay. So I could talk about this all day, so I'm going to try to rein myself in. But the first one that it's probably the biggest or the most important, because Syrah is a French grape. My French is terrible. I don't even know why I tried to say that with an accent.
Yeah.
It's a French grape, right? So it originated in France. It originated in an area called the Rhone Valley. And so if you want to check out OG Syrah in its purest form, I would check out France first. The problem with that is that it's not big. It's not often like really voluptuous and round like a lot of bold red drinkers are looking for. Sometimes it's a little bit thinner, maybe a little bit more earthy and less alcoholic than one would like. But it's so beautiful. Like so a lot of it smells like purple flower and roasted meat and gorgeousness
and blood.
I know.
That you always love that blood note. I feel like when we're blind tasting, you're like, "There's blood in this wine," and
but I don't want to say blood because I don't want to scare off anybody who might see this and go, "Well, I don't want a bloody wine. That's so gross." Yeah, I see a comment that says "gross" already. So
that's Catherine. We got to bring Catherine up here. Catherine, how are you feeling about that blood tasting note?
Well, honestly, everything sounded so good. I was like, that's the kind of Syrah I want to drink. And then you said blood, and I thought, never mind. Not going to drink that one.
It's pretty well known for having like this sanguine kind of, if you've ever done like blood sausage or anything like that, like,
yeah.
And it's not overwhelming, but it is definitely this like very savory wine.
I would argue the point, which I will do, which is some of them might be a little bit bloody, but I would say a lot of them are more like gamey. Like they have, like if you like smoked meat, like it's like beef jerky. And that's why I think it's such a great steak wine. Like you talk about Cab all the time with freaking steak. Everyone talks about it. It's so annoying to me because I think Shiraz or Syrah is better. I think you have actually a smoked meat element that's really, really interesting.
And I'm going to bring up Lisa here because she actually posted a question. Lisa, I want you to ask your question here because we're talking about food now. Let's talk about your question. Ask your question here.
Oh, well, do you think it's a little more versatile in pairings with the Syrah than it is with a Cab?
I think it depends on where the Syrah's from. I think like French Syrah,
only the blood-free Syrah.
The blood-free Syrah is the most terrible. No, I think it depends. Like I like ones with higher acidity, so I like them. I like them from maybe the old world, like Europe, when I'm pairing. Now, when I'm drinking by myself alone, without any food, I like them a little bit more voluptuous. So I think if you're pairing, I wouldn't necessarily make the bold statement that Syrah is a more pairable wine than Cabernet. I just think that certain expressions might be more pairable than Cabernets that are a bit bigger.
So maybe as an extension here, what is some of your like favorite Syrah pairings?
Oh, Definitely meat, like smoked meat. Like I love I'm not a barbecue person, but if I do eat barbecue, like smoked sausage, I'll always go to Syrah or Shiraz. I love that. I love like if I'm gonna go more vegetarian, like mushrooms, like grilled mushrooms are always super good because you've got that earthy component. Barbacoa, like if I'm, I don't
Ooh.
know. Oh.
Yeah. Let's talk about barbacoa for a second. Yes, please. I would totally rock some Syrah. And I've cut you off, so I don't want to. So we've talked about Northern Rhone. Give me a couple other spots where folks can look for good Syrah.
Yeah, so Australia, just sans yellowtail. Stay away from yellowtail if you want good quality.
Or that's and to remind folks, that's what she's talking about when she says critter wine. A lot of those brands who ran to put critters on their labels to like run with the branding side of things. That's what she's talking about.
Not to say that I've had like reserve Shiraz from Yellowtail or Alice White, and it's actually some of it's not bad. It's really decent. I'm just talking about the very lowest level. So not to knock, I'm gonna get in trouble if I knock everybody, but like higher end producers, if you start with a Shiraz at around $20, it's probably really good. And I know maybe a lot of you like maybe want to stay within 15 and 20. I think you can achieve greatness in a bottle with that price point, to be honest. Another region, harder to find, but if you do find it, it's ethereal. Like I can't get enough of New Zealand Syrah, specifically from Gimlet Gravels from Hawke's Bay.
Okay.
Dude,
talk about this because I have not had a Syrah from here.
Oh, okay. It's the best, and I have to special order it because it's harder to find. I've gotten it at a few retailers, but so it's like a cross between Australian. It meets the Northern Rhone. You have the beautiful florality of a Northern Rhone, like a Côte Rôtie, meets like a little bit of like voluptuous pure fruit, and it is stunning. Like I get so excited when I find them, and they're really not too expensive. They're around 30 or so.
That's totally doable. And I feel like New Zealand has really carved out this position as the in-between the old world and a lot of the new world. Cause I feel like Central Otago is doing that with Pinot Noir. I feel like it's a nice middle between Burgundy and say like Willamette Valley. And so it sounds like they're able to pull this off with Syrah too.
Yeah. Well, I heard a really beautiful quote that I won't stop repeating at a Texom seminar. It was a sommelier seminar, and one of the masters of wine said, New Zealand wine is like sunshine in a glass. And I just love that because it's a pure expression of fruit that you won't find anywhere. But in this case with the Syrah, it has such beautiful floral note too. So it's that linear fruit combined with like lavender, and it is so pretty. Last but not least, if you're looking local or within the U.S., California and Washington. Washington's really known for really great Syrah because of its volcanic soils. Syrah kind of digs it, and those they make really good Syrahs too because you can ripen the fruit well.
Yep, and I will shout out. We obviously at William Chris make Syrah. We love Syrah. High Cross Syrah is one of my favorite wines that we produce. Can't not talk about the Texas Syrahs that are being made. And excited to see how those Syrahs continue to develop as the age of the vines continues to get older and older. We're still working with pretty new vines as compared to a lot of other regions. But man, some of those wines that I've had that are 5-6 years old are starting to have that like bacon, smoked meat kind of gamey thing going on, and I'm uber excited for the future of Syrah in Texas. So we're going to end this section because you have already given us such immense information with Catherine's question here. So I'm going to bring her back up. We need to know, Catherine, you go ahead and ask your question here.
Well, I was just wondering what your favorite region was that produces Syrah. You may have already touched confirm.
I would say I'm a huge Rhone fan. That like New Zealand is so close because it's so good, but it's so hard to find that I really just drink a lot of Rhone Syrah. I know Dee, you're a Southern Rhone fan. I'm a Northern Rhone fan. I like a lot of purple flower in my wine. It just reminds me of my childhood being like playing in a garden. So I like there's a sub-region in the Northern Rhone called Saint Joseph that I dig. And then if I am rich, I buy Croix Hermitage or Hermitage. Those are just but they're expensive. They're like 50 to 70 plus. So, yeah,
it can be rough. I'm with you on Northern Rhone. Sometimes the pocketbook doesn't agree, and I for sure will always love CDP over that. And Syrah is playing second or third fiddle in a lot of those wines, and so not the best choice for Syrah. I will agree. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out with us talking about Syrah. We have a really important game coming up. We're going to bring back this or that. I am so hungry. So we're going to do 2 quick rounds of this or that. Daniela's going to play with us. I'm going to give her a sec to catch her breath, take a drink of her gin and soda. Guys, get ready. We're going to do 2 quick rounds of this or that. And we're going to start out with the main course tonight. You can only pick one for those of you who are new, this or that, not both. Okay. It's not this, that, it's this or that. I need to know tacos or pizza. Tacos or pizza, and you can only have one. Cheers to happy hour. I need to know why too. Don't just give me that like it's better answer. I need to know why tacos or why pizza. And we've already got some folks chiming in with a lot of tacos. Bill is going pizza because we just had tacos. you can't have both, Bill. Sarah says pizza tonight. Eric is saying pizza pairs great with red wine. Oh, it's going to be a hard one for me, guys. I'm not tipping my hand either way. I'm obsessed with both of these categories. While y'all chiming in the comments, I'm going to go to our folks who have come here today. I'm going to pull all of them up on screen. Everybody, first up, I'm going to Lisa. Convince me, tacos or pizza?
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go tacos because I can do corn tortilla, flour tortilla, flat bread. I can use all kinds of different bread, which you can completely change the ingredient and make it a different nationality in every single taco.
Okay. I love the reasoning. That was a good answer. Catherine, you're up next. What are you feeling?
Well, Lisa stole my answer. I was thinking you can really diversify both of those options, but I decided you can have more options of tacos. I'm going to do tacos every day for the rest of my life. I have a lot more options of tacos. So I'm going to do tacos.
Plus, breakfast tacos are better than breakfast pizza.
Ooh.
Okay.
Out there. Well, a full disclosure, I made an Asian-inspired pizza for lunch. I had some like ginger, chili, lime marinated chicken, red onion, cilantro, and this like tamarind glaze that I put on it on a flatbread. Like that was Asian pizza. So I'm not going to say you can't also diversify.
Was it good?
It was so good. Okay. Daniela, we've got 2 votes for tacos. Are you falling in line with the rest of these folks?
I probably shouldn't. I probably should just change my answer, but I'm going to agree, but I have a hot take on this, which is I cannot live without the Migas Poblanos breakfast taco at Veracruz, all natural. And let me just say that I took a bite of that taco and cried. Like it won best taco in Austin. And let me tell you, it is so good. Like when the quarantine happened, they shut down for a second and I had a mini meltdown because I didn't know what I was going to do. So that's like one, like it's that, like, and then plus everything else everybody just said. But
that's 3 votes for tacos. I got to pull in some of these answers. Alta is also saying multiple choices. You can make it carb friendly without the shell. Susan just shuts it down. She just says pizza, end of story. You know, I love you guys, but you need to give me something else. Jerry Lynn's going to agree with the personalization. I like Eric's reasoning for pizza here. Tacos can sometimes be more difficult to pair with wine. I do have to admit that is a key consideration for me. Now, I love me some beer and tacos all day long. There's a lot of folks in here. This is a pretty split comment section. I don't know if you guys are seeing this. Evelyn says pizza's heavy, tacos are crunchy good. I mean, that just depends on where you're getting the tacos from, because I've had some heavy tacos. Okay, guys. Gosh, this is a hard one for me. Born and raised Texan. I grew up in Austin. Breakfast tacos are a religion. And that's where I got.
Did you have wine with did you have wine with your lunch?
So I did. I loved my lunch. The lunch was delicious, but at the end of the day, I am having breakfast tacos like every day. I've actually created this new like egg roll, fried tortilla egg roll thing that's essentially a breakfast taco. I just, cooked it in a different shape and rolled it up. But I got to agree with Daniela here. Veracruz all natural, migas taco on corn, life-changing good, no doubt. I can't, just like you, it's hard to go wrong with something that good. Pizza's so good though, and I will bufalina all day, every day. So
You can't have both.
I know, Catherine, stop it. Okay, guys, one last round before we wrap things up. We're gonna have dessert here, and this is a really tough one. I want to know, and there might be some Texas influence here. Round 2 for dessert, you can only pick one: cake or pie.
Easy.
And I'm going to pull off our guests so they have a chance to gather their thoughts and grab a drink while you comment. I'm going to have another drink. This Merlot is opened up very nicely. Definitely showing some more floral character here. A little more tart. Very nice, very smooth. I'm ready to have this with some pizza tonight. Anne is saying bourbon cake. PJ says cake. Bill was in first, says pie. It's so rich. Man, guys, I have some feelings about cake versus pie. I have some feelings about Texas sheet cake. Anybody? Texas sheet cake? Anybody know what I'm talking about out there? That is a religion where I'm from. My mom made that growing up. Lisa's ready with the perfect answer, so we're going to go to her first. Lisa, you're on the spot. Talk to me, cake or pie?
Okay, so first of all, let me preface this with saying I'm not really a dessert eater. However, I have discovered a new addiction. Thank you to the COVID-19 shutdown. So if you take, I'm gonna say cake-ish, but tell you what specifically I'm referring to. So it's really brownies, but you take dark Ghirardelli chocolate or dark chocolate brownie mix and replace all of the water and half of the oil with Jacques. And that's it. It just wins. It's better than.
For those of you who don't know Jacques, that's our port-style wine. She's talking about putting port-style wine into her dark chocolate brownie mix and changing lives.
Yes.
And making inappropriate sounds on camera. I love it. Okay, Daniela, we're going to you next. We got to know cake or pie.
One question: is cheesecake that's a cake, right? Like, can we just classify that?
I'm gonna leave it up to you.
All right. First of all, yes, for cake as well. I'm gonna say cheesecake is bomb. Second of all, carrot cake. I mean, best cake ever. And I like things that nobody else likes, so I'm probably gonna get disagreed with. But love carrot cake. Love German chocolate cake. Pie. I could never eat a slice of pie again and be fine.
Wow. You heard it here, guys. She could never eat pie again and be totally fine. Catherine, how are you chiming in here?
Oh, pie. Hands down pie. My favorite dessert is key lime pie. Chris's favorite is pecan pie. I love pie. You can have a chocolate pie for those chocolate lovers. Pie.
Wow. Wow, guys. Okay, so we got a pretty split special guest situation. We do have Brian is agreeing with you here, Daniela. He's going for cheesecake. I don't know. Kathy's saying coconut cream pie. That was my mom's favorite. Catherine Flanagan says cake don't like crust too much on pies. Okay, I feel you, but I really like the crust on pies. Like if there was one thing I was going to identify in pie, I really like pie crust. Like I could almost just eat pie crust. Elise is pie all day. Evelyn is agreeing here with the pecan, especially chocolate pecan, Texas style. Guys, why has nobody brought up funfetti cake? I'm a huge funfetti fan. On the cake side, I got to let y'all know, pie and all of the like fruit that you keep putting in my pie and my dessert. Stop putting whole fruit in my dessert. I didn't ask for a healthy side option. I asked for dessert. I want sugar. I want disgusting. I want like pack the pounds on sweetness, goodness. I want cake. Guys, cake all day. No question. Hands down, cake is the answer. I'm not even, yes, there's pumpkin pie. That might be the one option, and that's like one time a year. Okay. Other than that, it's cake, and there's no question. And it is not boring, Evelyn, so you can just shut it over there. I don't know what you're talking about. Cake is amazing, tons of flavor. This has been a lot of fun. I'm going to bring up all of our guests while I do these three things real quick. Daniela is going to think about who we're cheersing to while I do these three things. It has been fun to play this or that. I am so hungry right now. I can't wait to eat dinner. Guys, real quick, these three things. You have 2 days left to shop for mom. Make it easy. Get her wine. Ship straight to her door. Less than 20 packs left. There's a link right there in the comments. Go get it. It's $95, shipping included, 4 wines on the door. Get it. Number 2, we are still running curbside pickup at the winery every day from noon to 5. Okay, you're that noon to 5 curbside pickup. Go get your wine from William Chris. Take a nice drive out to the hill country. Get out of the house a little bit. It'll be good. Get some fresh air. Third, tomorrow is Bring a Friend Friday. So right now, while we're pausing and you're drinking, I want you to click that @ sign and start typing a friend's name. Everybody's doing it. @ friend's name, who's on Facebook. Tag them in the comments. Invite them to 5 p.m. tomorrow so we can Bring a Friend Friday. We're going to be drinking a new rosé from William Chris, a 19 Varasian Hills rosé. My friend Jessica Sanders is coming on. She is the owner of Drinkwell here in Austin. It's a restaurant and bar. She is the local chapter president of the United States Bartenders Guild. She is a badass. She's a great teacher. I'm not going to tell you what we're talking about because I don't want to give it away, but we're really excited to have Jessica on. You don't want to miss this. So @ tag a friend, Bring a Friend Friday. See you right here at 5 p.m. tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in today. Daniela, lead us out. Who are we cheersing to today?
I'm going to cheers to all the retail workers, just coming from retail for a year and watching these shenanigans go down. We got beaten, you guys. So cheers. I know it's hard. I know the deliveries have picked up. I know you're exhausted. Thank you so much, because I know what it's like. It is rough. But we really appreciate you for being an essential worker, being out there. And yeah,
cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to all the retail folks out there. Daniela, Lisa, Catherine, thanks for being here today. Cheers to all of you out there. We love you. See you at 5 o'clock tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.
So good. Yum, yum. Go get this 16 Merlot. My goodness. Okay, guys. It is the end of happy hour. We will see you tomorrow. And I am